evening and welcome to your Wednesday, June 19, 2024 edition of the Evening News. I am Jemima Holmes. Thank you for joining us. Let's take a look at some of the lead stories tonight. Decrease in bureaucracy promised as government launches single window portal for construction permits. Minister BHARRAT announces creation of new mining areas in Guyana. Private sector involvement in apprenticeship programs minimal. Hamilton BEMOANS. APNU'S VANESSA KISSOON claims Norton threatened to rape her. And man dies in ATV crash in Region 1. Now for the news in detail. The approval of construction permits across the country has now been made easier with the launch of the new electronic planning and development single window system, which will fast-track and simplify planning and permit approvals through an online application and tracking system. Here is Vanu Manikchand with the details.
The Planning and Development Single Window System is an automation of the construction permission system, which allows a number of state agencies involved in the planning process to simultaneously process applications that are submitted via the online portal. At the launch of the single window system on Wednesday, President Dr. Irfan Ali disclosed that this project has been in the works since 2013 and got fast-tracked when the PPPC returned to office in 2020 and found that over $50 million in private sector investments were being stalled due to the lengthy processing time for permits. The head of state noted this system will not only reduce red tape but also identify which agencies are lagging in processing permits.
We will have agencies that may not be pulling their weight. And then the entire system bears the burden of the inefficiency. So in this approach now, there's a time set. And if you don't submit your comment, it is taken as approved. If you do not submit your comment, it is taken, silence is approval. And then you will be held accountable as to why you did not submit your approval. But I'll go through some of the stages. But that's an important part of this system. It's time sensitive. So no one can hold their application on their desk anymore and believe they have all of God's life to approve it.
Through the single window online portal, processing of all construction permits has now been massively reduced from 3 months to 1 month. This, according to Minister within the Housing and Water Ministry Suzanne Rodriguez, is important given the unprecedented wave of development taking place in Guyana.
The reform is necessary in respect to legislative amendments and streamlining procedures so that processing time for planning and building permits can be reduced and customer service improved. For the period October 2020 to May 2024, the CHPA considered 3,611 planning permission applications, with a total of 136 applications directly related to the oil and gas sector. The electronic portal can be accessed from anywhere in the world. This would not only allow investors to submit applications and supporting documentations electronically, but would allow individuals to check the status of their applications and allow decision makers to monitor the performance of the various ministries and agencies. Further, this system has been re-engineered to clearly identify the requirements for various types of development upfront and reduces unnecessary steps in the process.
While the Central Housing and Planning Authority is the implementing agency, there are 15 other state agencies connected to the single window system, which President Ali disclosed was developed locally by the National Data Management Authority and can be shared with regional partners.
One of the hindrances that we had in this program was the software that we were initially looking at had a recurrent cost that was very, very high. It would have been very costly, that recurrent cost, and it had a transactional aspect to it. And we tasked the NDMA to come up with a homemade solution that would not have any of this recurrent costs. And our national consultant, IT consultant, Daryl, is here. And I want to thank you and your team for coming up with this homegrown, homemade software that we can now share free of cost with the rest of our brothers and sisters in this region. Because this entire platform is meant to be transferable to all the countries within this region so we can all improve our doing business indicators, enhance competitiveness and transparency.
Reporting for the Evening News, Vanu Manakchand.
For the entirety of last year, the Guyana Gold Board sold just 383 ounces of gold. This is juxtaposed against the fact that a recent bust at the Chedijagan International Airport netted 240 ounces of gold that were about to be smuggled. Gerald Bryan reports.
On Tuesday, goldsmiths from across the country gathered at Duke Lodge in Georgetown to meet with the Ministry of Natural Resources and relevant agencies to discuss issues in the sector. One such issue was that goldsmiths do not purchase refined gold from the Guyana Gold Board as they are legally mandated to do. At the session, the Gold Board's General Manager, Eodreni Thompson, revealed how much gold has been purchased from her agency from 2019 to date. Amounts even she admitted were small compared to the number of jewelers in operation.
In 2019, we had 497 ounces purchased from the Guyana Gold Board. In 2020, we had 268 ounces. 2021, we had 460. 2022, we had 524. And I did not analyze this, what caused the spike here. In 2023, we had 383. 2024 to date, as of May 31st, we had 178. I can dare say also, we know that it's really a small amount compared to the jewelers, if we should assess the jewelers that we have here.
For context, the recent bust at the Chedijagan International Airport saw 240 ounces of gold being attempted to be smuggled. During his presentation, Natural Resources Minister Vikram BHARRAT noted that there are over 100 registered goldsmiths in the country. And while the law mandates that goldsmiths buy gold from the state, he acknowledged that in some cases goldsmiths work with materials brought by the clients themselves.
There is this issue of people bringing gold to you, which I'm sure many of you, when you have a chance, that will be one of your issues. That what happens when people bring their gold to you. Because we know that is a common practice in Guyana, that people will bring, whether they have old jewelry that were given to them, maybe as gifts from their parents, grandparents, and they bring it to you for you to remodify or redesign. And then in some cases, people may have other forms of gold that they bring to you. We are asking that in compliance, you note all these instances and you submit it to us, or whether we visit you or we set a time frame, maybe quarterly or whatever the case is, that we get the information. Right? We will treat them with the information. I don't think that really is an issue for you either. We and the relevant other agencies will deal with it. And the point is that we just want the origin of this gold that you're using to come from a legal source. That's all. That's the bottom line, nothing else. We're not witch hunting, we're not looking for anything else.
Added to this are plans to import a machine that will allow the Guyana Geology and Mines Commission, GGMC, to refine gold to a greater degree for persons to buy. As a matter of fact, GGMC Commissioner Newell Dennison said that most of the components of the machine were already in Guyana for assembly. Gerald Bryan, The Evening News.
Expressing concern over the exhaustion of existing mining areas due to decades of concentrated mining, Minister of Natural Resources Vikram BHARRAT has assured that the government is laser-focused on opening up new mining areas. Here is Gerald Bryan again with the details.
Minister of Natural Resources Vikram BHARRAT has revealed that the government is keenly aware of the need to open up new mining areas. This is due to the need for more gold to be produced locally. One factor contributing to the slump in production has been the exit of large-scale companies such as Troy Resources.
Quite honestly, another reason too is because we have been mining one area for decades now. We have been mining the same areas for decades. If you go to Madhya, it's around Madhya we mine for decades. You go to Matthews Ridge, it's the same thing. You go Peroni, Mazaruni, it's the same area we've been mining for decades now. It simply means that we have exhausted whatever resources are there. And we have to open up new lands. And that is what we've been working with the Guyana Gold and Diamond Miners Association to do. But it is a costly exercise, but it must be done. It must be done because that is the only way we're going to open up new areas.
Meanwhile, BHARRAT acknowledged that a major part of opening up new areas is the infrastructure such as roads that must be built and maintained. But another component to opening up new areas are the surveys that are necessary to determine where the mineral deposits are. In this year's budget, $400 million was set aside to do mineral mapping, and the government is in the process of searching for a company to undertake the exercise. The mapping, however, is not just about gold mining but also bauxite and other minerals.
The mineral maps that exist now are maps that would have been drawn up from data that has been data that was acquired maybe about 40 years ago. So that is the process that has been started to ensure that we first of all look at the data that is available, to digitize that, to do some processing, and then we will move to the mining districts where we will actually do the physical survey so that we can update the mineral map or the mineral inventory in the country. And as you would appreciate, the technology and equipment available today is much better than the ones that were available 40 years ago.
According to the minister, this project will be a multi-year one that will result in a mineral inventory recording the types of minerals, quantity, and where they are located. Meanwhile, as it relates to Troy Resources, it was revealed that proposals have been received from companies willing to take over the abandoned mining pit in Kuruni, Region 7. However, the government remains hopeful that a consortium of local miners can take over the large-scale operation.
We have a few proposals, including we have already had talks with the Gold and Diamond Miners Association to see if we can have a local, and I think the President would have mentioned this too, to have a local consortium established to engage in the large-scale operation at Troy Resources, which includes restarting the mill or the processing plant, as well as mining from the main pits. But the small-scale mining that is ongoing now, if I may add, is not from the main pits, is not from the area that is in and around the processing plant. With regards to the liabilities or the arrears to the government, the AG office is taking steps.
Jarrell Bryan, The Evening News.
Over the last 3 years, the Guyana government has ramped up the level of access to technical and vocational courses with the hope of addressing the current labor shortages in various sectors across the country. However, the local private sector's involvement in efforts to build country's human resources capacity through apprenticeship programs is minimal, Labor Minister Joseph Hamilton has lamented. Trishelle Sobers tells us more.
According to statistics provided by the Labor Ministry, there are currently 221 apprentices in training at various organizations across the country. However, when it comes to private sector-led apprenticeship programs, the number is severely lacking compared to government-led training initiatives. This point was raised by Labor Minister Joseph Hamilton during his address at the Consultative Association of Guyanese Industry luncheon on Tuesday. In this regard, the Labor Minister called for greater collaboration between the government and the private sector to ramp up skills training initiatives in order to address labor shortages across the country. On this point, he emphasized that it is essential to align training with industry needs to ensure the local workforce is adequately prepared.
The data clearly shows that private sector involvement in apprenticeship program is minimal, which in my view can impact our country's ability to reduce skills mismatches in the labor market. We are not just addressing an immediate need, we are laying the groundwork for a prosperous future. And all of us, we have to participate in this. Together, with the support of the private sector and the active participation of all stakeholders, we can bridge the skill gap and build a robust, skilled, and resilient workforce ready to drive Guyana economic growth and development.
Further, while delivering his feature address, Minister Hamilton explained that the expansion and strategic implementation of projects like the Guyana Online Academy of Learning goal are part of efforts to address the crisis of an under-skilled population. Nevertheless, he posited that the need to develop the country's human resource capacity should be viewed as an opportunity for national development.
The long-term approach for Guyana must be where our education delivery must be revolutionized. We must reach the place urgently where we give prominence to technical vocational education and training like we give to academic training and learning. We cannot discuss skills shortage and skills deficit, and we have an education system whereby, in my view, 35 students in a class, 12 of those students don't want to be in that class. They'd rather be in a class where they can be using their hands.
The luncheon hosted by the Consultative Association of Guyanese Industry gathered together industry stakeholders, including employers, human resources professionals, and government representatives, to discuss the current state of Guyana's labor market and share insights on potential solutions. Trishelle Sobers, Evening News.
Coming up, distribution of 45,000 students' cash grants to begin June 24, and 23 restaurants participating as Guyana Restaurant Week begins this Friday. Do stay with us. More news ahead.
Transitions Light Intelligent Lenses. Pick your color. Choose your style. Available at Optique Vision Care.
Crispy, creamy, what a catch. So tasty. What a catch. With a caramel center. What a catch. And so much chocolate. Ooh, yeah. First it's crispy, then it's creamy. With so much chocolate, smooth and milky. And when you go a little deeper, you find caramel. Ooh, yeah. Oh, what a catch. You know we love you. What a catch. Oh. First it's crispy, then it's creamy. What a catch.
Dad!
Is that real?
आप लोगों को नजर आ रहे हैं?
Well hit. Away it goes. That is a ridiculous. Look at this.
You can tell from the crowd who's up next. It's Premier's star player, whose world-class stats put him in a league of his own. Premier's rise to stardom has been one for the record books. The first team to get a GY A+ rating. They boast a strong solvency and A-class service. Ladies and gentlemen, you're witnessing Premier's financial and technical strength that is out of this world.
Premier. Premier insurance coverage for less.
Welcome back. You're watching the Evening News. APNU Linden Town Councillor and former Member of Parliament Vanessa KISSOON has made sexual assault allegations against opposition leader Aubrey Norton. Here's what she had to say.
There is a social media story that is taking on various proportions and shapes after a statement was released by one Eglon Gomes, whom I acknowledge to have had a conversation with some time back, with a third party being present. I did not in said conversation approve of Mr. Gomes taking my story public for any purpose whatsoever. However, despite what I saw this morning and what Mr. Norton is saying, that I have never traveled in his car, I would like you to know that I've traveled in Mr. Norton's car on several occasions, him and I being alone in the car, because Mr. Norton, as I've always seen him, is a political comrade. Mr. Norton and I, as political comrades, would have attended a funeral in Linden, and after the funeral service and we were leaving the Christiansburg Cemetery, Mr. Norton offered me a ride home. I did not refuse because this is a comrade. However, while we were on our journey, Mr. Norton suddenly stopped the car and I heard the locks. As you know, when a car is locked, it clicks. He then looked at me. I was in the passenger seat, he's the driver. And he showed me his gun in his foot. And he said, this is where he normally carries his gun. And then he further said to me, if I put this gun to your head and rape you, what would you do? I froze because I became very fearful for my life. I was speechless. I almost wet my skin that day because here is a comrade, one that I held as a comrade, doing this to me. And I looked Mr. Norton in his eyes and I said to him, because at that time I said to myself, you have to be strong. And I said to him, I ain't afraid of that, nor you. Are you gonna have to kill me? However, Mr. Norton did not carry out those threats or desires. But I have carried the burden of this threat, disrespect, and violation for years.
Meanwhile, opposition leader and leader of the People's National Congress, Aubrey Norton, has denied sexual assault allegations leveled against him. Here's what he had to say.
I wish to make it very clear that at no time in my life did Sharma Solomon ever ask me to drop Vanessa KISSOON to Linden. Secondly, at no time Vanessa KISSOON and I were in any vehicle alone heading to Linden. All of these claims are false and malicious. I wish to call on Sharma Solomon and Vanessa KISSOON to speak to this issue, since failure to do so will suggest that they are complicit in this false and malicious post. I've instructed my lawyers to take legal action on this matter. May I also state that I see it as part of a political plot, since I have out-nominated my contenders, and Eglon Gomes is known to be campaigning for one of the persons contending in these elections. I repeat to all Guyanese, at no stage was I ever involved in sexually harassing anybody in this country or overseas.
The distribution of the Because We Care cash grants to public and private school students will commence on Monday, June 24 across the 10 administrative regions of Guyana. This announcement was made today by Education Minister Priya Manikchand, who explained that the rollout of the 45,000 per child grant will be done in 2 phases. Details in this Trishelle Sobers report.
The announcement of the distribution of the Because We Care cash grants follows the conclusion of the nationwide verification process, which required all nursery, primary, and secondary schools across the country to supply registers with the list of names for students within their respective classrooms. The submitted names for those eligible were then provided to regional education departments for the first round of verification. Thereafter, to the Education Ministry for the second and final round of verification. With the verification rounds completed, Education Minister Priya Manikchand announced on Wednesday that the distribution of the $45,000 per child grant will begin next Monday, June 24.
This is a grant for public and private school children who are in school. The eligibility criteria is that you have to be on the register, you had to have been attending school, and you had to have returned your textbooks to be able to access the grant. This is going to happen all across Guyana over a 2-week period for collection and distribution.
Parents and guardians are asked to walk with a form of identification in order to ensure that the distribution process is hassle-free and is conducted in a timely manner. For those individuals who have misplaced or do not have a valid identification card, the ministry has put a system in place to allow a respected person, such as a pastor, head teacher, or tushao within their community to identify them.
It's very smooth, it's very transparent, it's very open, and every child who's entitled will benefit. Now, what does a parent have to do to receive this grant? You have to turn up to the place that we advertise. You have to look to see where and when you have to go to receive your child's grant, to see where that school is being served, and you have to walk along with identification, either passport, ID card, or driver's license.
This year, the Because We Care cash grant was increased to $40,000, coupled with the $5,000 uniform allowance, and will benefit 205,000 children countrywide. In 2021, the government reintroduced the cash grant distribution for school-aged children, as per its manifesto promise. The distribution at the time saw each child benefiting from $19,000 to $15,000 from the Because We Care grant and $4,000 for their uniform vouchers. In 2020, the government increased the Because We Care cash grant amount from $15,000 to $25,000 and the uniform voucher from $4,000 to $5,000. This meant that each child went from receiving $19,000 to $30,000. Since assuming office in August 2020, the Guyana government has expended a total of $27 billion on the Because We Care cash grant initiative. Trishelle Sobers, Evening News.
There are over 180 cases in relation to money laundering pending in the criminal justice system, Attorney General Anil Nandlal has revealed, noting that the government cannot control the speed at which these matters are heard and determined. Let's find out more from Luanda McAllister.
During his program Issues in the News, Attorney General Anil Nandlal provided an update on his recent visit to Port of Spain for the 58th plenary and working group meetings for the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force. Nandlal revealed that Guyana received a clean bill of health following a rigorous and diligent process.
Almost every aspect of Guyana's financial and legal architecture relative to our AML CFT structures were examined in great detail by assessors appointed by the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force. Guyana came out with flying colors, meaning that our financial system and our AML CFT architecture does not pose a risk of any kind. Of course, the process continues, and we still have some follow-up actions to complete, which we obviously plan to do.
Against this backdrop, Nadalal disclosed that there are over 180 cases of money laundering pending in the courts.
We have a total of 187 cases pending in the criminal justice system in relation to money laundering type offenses. 187 cases pending. Now I had to explain to the plenary that we do not control the speed at which these cases are heard and determined. But you can't fault us for not filing the cases and anxiously ready or being in a state of readiness to prosecute. So we have 187 of those cases pending. We were able to show that we confiscated, I think, 3 aircrafts, 1 luxury yacht, and a ship, all involved in drug trafficking offenses. And persons were charged and, in most of the cases, convicted.
Meanwhile, he also weighed in on the recent U.S.-imposed sanctions against Guyanese businessman Nazar and Azardin Mohammed and former government official May Thomas.
The opposition came out first, and they said that the disclosures will have a serious impact on Guyana's financial sector. Within hours, the government of Guyana reacted and dispatched requests to the relevant agencies within the U.S. government seeking information that they obviously have at their disposal based upon their disclosures, which information and or evidence will be used by the state agencies in Guyana in pursuing investigations into the allegations. The central bank has indicated publicly that it has rescinded the license that was granted to the Mohammeds to operate a cambio. So these are serious and drastic steps that were taken with great promptitude and immediacy by the government of Guyana to demonstrate its commitment to fight transnational crime, financial crime, and money laundering type of activities.
Luanda McAllister for the Evening News.
Another edition of the Guyana Restaurant Week has returned, this time promising to be more inclusive and catering to various demographics of the country. As we hear in this Kelroy Williams report, 23 restaurants have come on board with specially curated menus that promise to take persons on grand culinary adventures.
The 17th edition of the Guyana Restaurant Week was officially launched on Thursday at the Atlantis Cuisine Restaurant, West Central Mall, Lenora, in Region 3. Delivering remarks at the event was President of the Tourism and Hospitality Association of Guyana, O'Madely George, who highlighted that the event organizers are trying to get more restaurants from outside of Georgetown to participate.
There are 23 participating restaurants, and it's spanning not only from Region 4, we're going all the way to Region 2, the Essequibo Coast, Region 3 as well, right here, Atlantis in Leonora, Region 7, Bartica, Region 6, New Amsterdam. Our commitment to inclusivity is our aim.
Also delivering remarks at the launch was Director of the Guyana Tourism Authority, Kamral Bakash, who echoed similar sentiments. He expressed hope that in future editions, more restaurants from various administrative regions come on board.
Let me say this is not going to be the only fine dining restaurant in Region 3. She plans to expand that, and as such we may very well have an increased number of restaurants participating in Region 3 in perhaps season 18 and 19.
This year's Restaurant Week will commence on Friday, June 21 and will end on June 30. Prices are set from as low as $3,000 for lunch and $6,000 for dinner at participating restaurants. Some of the participating restaurants are Atlantis Cuisine in Region 3, Ambrosia Restaurant in New Amsterdam, Bia Tex-Mex Cuisine in Bartica, Starlight Restaurant in Suddy, and Rise Restaurant in Diamond. Other participating restaurants include Agman Indian Restaurant, Bistro Cafe and Bar, Froggy's Grill, Hard Rock Cafe, Hello Colina Restaurant, Jack's International, Mango Walk Restaurant, Nutrition Crave, OMG Arawak Steakhouse, among others. Evening News, Kelroy Williams.
The driver of an unregistered all-terrain vehicle died on Tuesday after crashing it along the Eiffel Access Road at Eyelash Bagdam, Northwest District, Region 1. Dead is 39-year-old Devon Morales, who hailed from Wauna, also in Region 1. Police stated that the man was en route to the Providence Bagdam when he lost control of the ATV whilst negotiating a left bend on the trail. The incident, which occurred at around 15 hours 30, resulted in the driver being flung into the air and landing motionless along the trail. Public-spirited persons had alerted the police, and ranks responded immediately, but the man was pronounced dead at the scene. And now for a look at the bridge reports.
The Demerara Harbour Bridge will be closed to vehicular traffic on Thursday, June 20th, 2024 at 3 hours for a period of 1.5 hours. Meanwhile, the Berbice River Bridge is scheduled to be closed on Thursday, June 20th, 2024 at 15 hours 25, also for 1.5 hours.
Let's now take a look at the local stock exchange market compliments of GASI. Proud of the way they represented, says Shabazz, and Guyana's Tyrell lands deadlift bronze, 6 overall at World Classic Championships. Details of these stories and more coming up in the Sportcast, sponsored by MacCorp.
American-made Generac pressure washers from Sylvie's Variety Store gives you the power you need to blast away dirt and grime. Providing the perfect cleaning power for any tough jobs around the house or business. From 2,500 to 4,000 PSI. So get the Generac pressure washer today with all the parts and accessories available from Sylvie's Variety Store.
Did you know that when you leave your property unoccupied and unmanaged, it deteriorates much faster than you can imagine? Then before you know it, much of your hard-earned investment is wasted. And Hand in Hand the Trust Corporation property management is our business. Whether you travel for long periods, live overseas, or have several properties that require managing, let us at Hand in Hand Trust Corporation take care of this for you. Your property is safe with us. Hand in Hand Trust Corporation Incorporated, a member of the Hand in Hand Group of Companies.
Did you know Guy Super 95 gasoline has an octane rating of 95, the highest rating available in Guyana? This premium fuel is known to enhance the performance of your engine, making it run smoother and more efficiently, leading to better fuel economy and improved performance. Choose Super 95 for more mileage and better overall performance.
Looking to bring your dream home to reality? Or simply taking on a home improvement project? Then National Hardware Limited is where you should start. Let us put that touch to your home. Choose from over 1,000 Berger Paint original hues for any surface. We are known for our trusted brands such as Westinghouse, Philips, Sadco, Rubbermaid, Pyrex, Gibson Home, and so much more. National Hardware Limited, your do-it-best store. Located in downtown Georgetown and industrial site Rhymeville.
Dad! Dad! Is that real? आप लोगों को नजर आ रहा है?